I was scrolling through Facebook on a Tuesday afternoon when I saw my Aunt Linda's face smiling back at me from a video thumbnail, my parents sitting beside her on her floral couch. I almost kept scrolling. Almost. But something about my mother's expression, that tight, performative smile she wore when she was about to say something cruel, made me stop. I pressed play. And 30 seconds later, my entire world collapsed. My name is Grace. I'm 32 years old, and for the past 15 years, I believed I was doing the right thing. I believed I was being a good daughter. I believed that love meant sacrifice, that family meant showing up no matter what. I was wrong. Not about love. Not about family. But about who deserved mine. Let me tell you how a 90-second video on social media taught me that the people I'd given everything to had been secretly destroying my reputation for over a decade. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. You're not alone. And please, hit that subscribe button, this story gets worse before it gets better. I need to take you back. Back to when I was 17 and my father had his first heart attack. I remember the hospital smell, that antiseptic sting that gets in your throat. I remember my mother's hand shaking as she held her coffee cup in the waiting room. I remember the doctor saying words like stress, and lifestyle changes, and financial strain. My parents owned a small printing business in Ohio, nothing fancy, just enough to get by. But medical bills don't care about getting by. They pile up like snow in January, silent and suffocating. So I made a choice. I deferred my acceptance to Northwestern. Full scholarship, everything I'd worked for. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I'd go next year. I got a job at a local bank instead, processing loans during the day and taking online business courses at night. The money I made? It went home. Mortgage payments. My dad's medications. My mother's car repair. Groceries. Utilities. I kept enough for rent in a tiny studio apartment and gas money. That was it. Just until we get back on our feet, my mother said, squeezing my hand across the kitchen table. You're such a blessing, Grace. We don't deserve you. I believed her. Here's what nobody tells you about financial support: it never ends when you think it will. 1 year became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became 15. I climbed the ladder at the bank. Loan officer. Branch manager. Regional director. Every promotion meant more money, and more money meant my parents needed just a little more help. The printing business never quite recovered. There was always something: a new competitor, a bad quarter, equipment that broke down, clients who didn't pay. I bought them a new roof when theirs started leaking. I paid for my mother's dental implants when her teeth started failing. I covered property taxes 3 years in a row. I sent my father to a specialist in Cleveland when his heart condition worsened. And I didn't mind. Not really. They were my parents. This was what you did. But I noticed things. Small things at first. The way my mother's voice got tight when I mentioned I might take a vacation. The way my father changed the subject whenever I talked about maybe, someday, going back to school. The way family gatherings always included subtle reminders of everything they'd done for me as a child, as if 18 years of parenting required a lifetime of repayment. I told myself I was being ungrateful. Selfish. They'd raised me, hadn't they? Fed me, clothed me, loved me. What was money compared to that? So there I was, Tuesday afternoon, watching my Aunt Linda's Facebook live. She did these weekly videos where she interviewed family members, neighborhood gossip dressed up as a community connection. So, Margaret, Richard, she said, adjusting her reading glasses, tell everyone about Grace. Your daughter must be doing so well now. My mother laughed. Not her real laugh. Her society laugh, the one she used at church functions. Oh, Grace, she said, and I could see my father nodding beside her. Well, you know. She's still finding her way. My stomach dropped. Finding her way? Aunt Linda pressed. But didn't she have some big job? Banking or something? My father cleared his throat. She did okay, for a while. But you know how it is with kids these days. They make a little money and suddenly they think they're too good for family. Too busy for Sunday dinners. Too busy to help out. My hands started shaking. We've been supporting her for years, my mother added, and her voice had that martyred quality she'd perfected, that suffering saint tone. Emotionally, financially when she's been between things. You do everything for your children and sometimes they just take. That's the word. They take. Aunt Linda made sympathetic noises. It's hard when they become freeloaders. It is, my mother agreed. It really is. The video was 90 seconds long. I watched it 17 times before I could breathe properly. I didn't cry. I wanted to, but something else was happening inside me. Something cold and precise, like a door slamming shut on 15 years of guilt and obligation. I opened my laptop. I had records. Because I'm careful. Because I worked in banking and I understood documentation. I had every transaction, every transfer, every check I'd written to my parents for the past 15 years. I created a spreadsheet. It took 3 hours. Total amount I'd given my parents, $247,000. Total amount they'd given me since I turned 18, $0. I had emails. I had text messages. I had birthday cards where they thanked me for my generosity and support. I had photos of the new roof, receipts for my father's medical bills, bank statements showing wire transfers with notes like mom's dental surgery and dad's specialist appointment and property tax, urgent. I had everything. And they'd told the world I was a freeloader. I didn't call them. I didn't send an angry text. I did something much simpler. I stopped. That Thursday, my mother called. Grace, honey, your father's medication copay came through and it's higher than expected. Could you? No, I said. Silence. Actual silence. I don't think I'd ever said no to her before. I'm sorry, what? No. I can't help with that right now. Grace. Her voice shifted, sharpened. Your father's health isn't something to play games with. We need. I saw Aunt Linda's video, I said quietly. Another silence. Longer this time. Oh. Well. That was just. Linda has a way of twisting things. You know how she is. She called me a freeloader, Mom. You agreed. On camera. To hundreds of people. Now, Grace, that's not, you're taking it out of context. What context makes that okay? She couldn't answer. Or wouldn't. Instead, she said, we're your parents. After everything we've done for you, you're going to throw a tantrum over a silly video? I hung up. If you've ever been gaslit by someone who's supposed to love you, hit that like button. And stick around, this is where it gets interesting. I'm not a vengeful person by nature. But I am a person who believes in truth. And I am very, very good at systems. I created a private Facebook group. I called it family financial transparency. I invited everyone who'd been in Aunt Linda's video audience, her followers, my extended family, the church community group where my parents were active members. Then I posted. Not angry. Not emotional. Just facts. A PDF of my spreadsheet, with bank statements redacted to show only amounts and dates. A timeline showing 15 years of financial support. Copies of thank you cards and emails from my parents. Screenshots of text messages asking for money. And at the top, a simple statement. On Tuesday, I was publicly called a freeloader by my parents in a video viewed by 300 people. Here is the full financial history of our relationship since I turned 18. I'm sharing this not out of anger, but because families deserve honest communication. I have supported my parents financially for 15 years, totaling $247,000. I have never asked them for repayment. I have never asked for recognition. But I will not accept being slandered. Truth matters. Receipts matter. This is mine. I posted it at midnight. By morning, it had been viewed 847 times. My phone exploded. Texts, calls, messages. Most were supportive. Some were shocked. A few accused me of being disrespectful, airing family business, attacking my parents when they were vulnerable. Aunt Linda called, furious. How dare you embarrass your parents like this? On social media of all places. Like you did to me? I asked. She sputtered. That was different. That was just conversation. This is calculated. This is cruel. No, I said, and my voice was steady, surprisingly calm. Cruel is spending 15 years building a narrative that your daughter is useless while she pays your bills. Calculated is documenting the truth. I learned from the best. She hung up. My mother called next. She was crying. How could you do this to us, Grace? How could you humiliate us this way? The same way you humiliated me, I said. Publicly. With evidence. Except mine is true. We're your parents, she screamed. You owe us. And there it was. The truth beneath everything. Not love. Not gratitude. Ownership. Debt. A transaction they'd been keeping score on while telling me family wasn't about keeping score. I don't owe you anything, I said. I gave you everything I had because I loved you. But you can't demand love and call it duty. You can't take everything someone has and call them selfish for having nothing left. She told me I was a disappointment. She told me I was heartless. She told me I'd regret this. I told her I'd send her the name of a financial advisor and hung up. The real change came from an unexpected place, the church ladies. My parents' church was their social foundation, their community, their identity. They'd been active members for 30 years. Served on committees. Hosted Bible studies. Built their entire reputation on being devoted, sacrificial parents. Mrs. Henderson from the church council called me 4 days after my post. Grace, she said, and her voice was warm, grandmotherly. I want you to know that what your parents did was wrong. And I want you to know that several of us saw it long before this video. You did? Honey, we've been watching them take credit for your success for years while dropping hints that you were difficult, ungrateful, too focused on your career to care about family. We knew. We just didn't know how to address it without proof. She paused. Your mother told the women's group last year that she'd lent you $20,000 to help with a bad investment. She said you refused to pay it back. We had a prayer circle about your selfishness. I felt sick. I never took a penny from them, I whispered. We know that now. The council is addressing it. Quietly. But there will be consequences. Truth matters in our community, Grace. Thank you for bringing it to light. I didn't sue my parents. I want to be clear about that. But I did hire a lawyer to draft what he called a cease and desist with prejudice. The letter was simple: stop making false statements about me, public or private, or face a defamation lawsuit. I had documentation. I had witnesses. I had damages, professional reputation, emotional distress, provable financial harm from their false narrative. The letter went to them, to Aunt Linda, and to anyone else who'd amplified the Freeloader story. My father called from his lawyer's office, defeated. Grace. We need to talk. I'm listening. We didn't mean, he stopped. Started again. Your mother and we've been under a lot of stress. Financial stress. The business. My health. We weren't thinking clearly. For 15 years? Silence. You told people I was a failure while I paid your mortgage, I said, and my voice cracked. Not with anger. With grief. You let me believe I was helping you while you poisoned everyone against me. Why? Because, he struggled. Because it was easier. Because if people knew how much you were giving us, they'd know how badly we'd failed. The business. Our finances. Everything. It was easier to make you the problem than admit we were drowning. At least it was honest. I can't forgive this yet, I told him. Maybe someday. But not now. The lawyer letter stands. If you say one more false thing about me, to anyone, I will sue. Not because I want your money. Because I want my truth protected. He said he understood. I don't know if he did. The weirdest thing about cutting off my parents financially wasn't the guilt. It was the space. Suddenly I had money. Actual money. Money that didn't disappear into someone else's emergency. Money that could just exist. Be saved. Be spent on things I wanted. I went to therapy. Paid for it myself, weekly sessions with Dr. Martinez, who specialized in family trauma and financial abuse. Financial abuse doesn't always look like stealing, she told me in our third session. Sometimes it looks like dependency dressed up as love. Sometimes it looks like guilt disguised as duty. I cried in her office. A lot. Grieving the parents I thought I had. Grieving the version of myself who believed sacrifice equaled love. But I also started building. I enrolled in an executive MBA program, part-time, online, something I dreamed about for a decade. I took that vacation, 2 weeks in Maine, just me and the ocean and silence. I bought myself a new car, nothing fancy, but mine. Not because someone else needed it. Because I wanted it. I made friends. Real friends, not people connected to my parents. I dated. I learned what it felt like to have relationships where I wasn't constantly proving my worth through what I could give. 6 months after the video, my mother showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't open the door. But curiosity won. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. Tired. I came to apologize, she said. I let her in. Made coffee. Waited. I'm sorry, she said, and it sounded rehearsed. I'm sorry for the video. For what I said. For hurting you. Are you sorry you said it, or sorry I had proof? She flinched. That's not fair. Fair. I set my coffee down carefully. Mom, you spent 15 years taking my money and my love and telling everyone I was worthless. You almost had me believing it. I need you to understand what you took from me. Not just money. My confidence. My sense of self. My ability to trust that love doesn't come with invoices. She was crying now. I know. I know I messed up. Your father and I, we were so ashamed. The business failed. We couldn't provide for ourselves. And you were doing so well, and it felt like you were succeeding where we'd failed, and instead of being proud, we were bitter. It was the truest thing she'd ever said to me. I need time, I told her. I need you to understand that an apology doesn't erase what happened. You have to rebuild trust. You have to prove that you see me as a person, not a resource. And I don't know if that's possible. She nodded, still crying. Can we try? Maybe, I said. Slowly. With boundaries. And therapy. Lots of therapy. She agreed. I don't know if it'll work. But at least it's honest. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in my situation. And if this resonated with you, please share it, someone in your life might need to hear this. Hit that subscribe button for more real stories about family, betrayal, and finding yourself again. It's been 2 years now. My parents and I have a relationship. It's not what it was. It's better, actually. Clearer. We see each other once a month for dinner. We talk on the phone occasionally. I sent them money once this year, when my father had an emergency surgery. Not because I had to. Because I chose to. There's a difference. They're in financial counseling. They downsized to a smaller house. They sold the printing business and my dad found part-time work consulting. They're managing. Not thriving, but managing. And that's their responsibility, not mine. Aunt Linda unfriended me on all social media. I consider that a win. The church ladies still send me Christmas cards. Mrs. Henderson invites me to lunch sometimes. She tells me I was brave. I tell her I was desperate. Both are true. I finished my MBA last spring. Graduated top of my class. My parents came to the ceremony. My mother cried. This time, I think they were tears of actual pride, not performance. I'm dating someone now. His name is Marcus. He's a teacher, makes a decent living but nothing extravagant. When I told him my story, he said, "I'm sorry that happened to you. And I want you to know, I pay my own bills." I laughed. I also cried. It mattered more than he knew. Here's what I wish someone had told me at 17, love is not the same thing as sacrifice. Supporting your family is beautiful. Being consumed by your family is not. You are allowed to have boundaries with your parents. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect yourself, even from people who raised you. Especially from people who raised you, if they're hurting you. Financial abuse is real. It doesn't always look like someone stealing from you. Sometimes it looks like someone training you to believe that your worth is measured by what you provide, that your love is only valid if it costs you everything. And here's the thing about exposing the truth, it's terrifying. It's messy. It burns bridges. But sometimes the bridges need to burn. Sometimes the only way forward is through the fire. I don't regret what I did. Not the spreadsheet, not the Facebook post, not the lawyer letter. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my parents chose reputation over relationship. But I don't regret fighting for my truth. Because here's what I know now, I am not a freeloader. I am not a failure. I am not selfish for wanting a life of my own. I am a daughter who gave everything she had and finally learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop. If you're watching this and you see yourself in my story, if you're the one always giving, always sacrificing, always proving your love while someone takes and takes and takes, please hear me, you are not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Not even your parents. Not even family. Document everything. Trust your reality. Believe yourself when you feel used. And know that protecting yourself isn't betrayal. It's survival. That video my aunt posted changed my life. But not the way my parents intended. It didn't shame me into silence. It freed me into truth. And truth, it turns out, is the most powerful weapon we have. Thank you for watching. If this story helped you, if it made you think, if it gave you the courage to set your own boundaries, leave a comment below. Share your story. You're not alone. And please, subscribe to this channel. Every subscription tells me these stories matter, that your stories matter. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when I post. Because we all deserve to be heard. We all deserve to be free.